Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to Coexistence and Sustainability with Pet Psychic Aminah. My name is Megan Sandwick. I am a guest host this week. I am covering for Dr. JACALYN, who is doing some exciting things and has some exciting travel stories that we will hear when she gets back. You are watching Coexistence and Sustainability on USA Global TV Radio and Global TV and Radio. We are here every Friday at noon Pacific time. And so happy Friday and thank you for joining us. Today, as I said, we are going to be with with Pet Psychic Aminah on Coexistence and Sustainability, where we talk about all things animals, all things pets. We talk about how to sustain the universe and taking care of Mother Earth. Let's welcome Pet Psychic Aminah now, who not only guides, she educates, she trains, and she informs us on animals and again, how we can coexist and be in this world together. Welcome, Aminah. How are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. It's best day of the week where I get to help people one-on-one and over the internet. It goes out. I have very luckily, somebody saw me in public and stopped and said, "Oh, I watched your video." And she was talking about one like 5-7 years ago. So I was like, great. Hopefully I'm not as old as I look probably now. I didn't say any of that, but it's really nice. It's really nice to have the feedback. So anybody has a question, feel free to, email me. My website and my email is bridgingworlds.us. So always, it's in the banner. And let's get started in talking about what is next. I love that Dr. JACALYN, who these shows also belong to, picks out some really great ones. So what do you think we should start with?
Well, let's talk a little bit about being present, right? And about nature and how is it that we can, let's start with, what are some of the best ways, if we've never felt comfortable in nature before, or we don't know, if being present in nature sounds like some of those words that, we don't understand, how would you describe the best way to be present with nature? How would you describe for people to get started?
I think it's really, really important. If you don't meditate, this is my encouragement, you to find that quiet time. It's not something special. You don't have to burn incense. You don't have to have a specific mat for the floor, or maybe not have the dog around because it might lick you to death or something. But getting time on our own, just letting the world go away for those moments or hour, whatever that moment is. Sometimes we need to do that when we've left a business meeting. Just know and get to know ourselves again and say, no, this is going to pass. We're going to talk. We're going to, get my word out at whatever's healthy for you. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing, especially if it's a heated discussion or you're disagreeing on something and you both feel right in that. It's wonderful to step away physically, mentally, and actually do that. Some people sit down on a chair. For me, I need to go out and walk in nature. I can get tired of the dishes all I want, and that will come and go. But sometimes you get tired of whoever you're living with or the people you work with. I highly suggest, especially if you're working in an office, and let's say you have upward above 10, 20 people. It doesn't matter if you have 3 people. If you have a point where there's some intake and outtake of really a tough decision you all have to make, but together, or people that your personality doesn't necessarily work with their personality, and you're the one who talks really, really loud, but that's how you talk, and you've warned everybody, and then you got somebody who basically it whispers. These are difference in doing something and who they are. Can we change? Yes, absolutely we can change, especially if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Try these first.
Mm-hmm.
Look at yourself in the mirror, either physically or not, and say, what would I like to work on today? What would I like to see different in me? This is improvement. This is not about, I don't want to be me anymore. I know everybody says I shouldn't have a beard. Well, great. But do you like having a beard? I love it. There's the end. There's the end. Unless you work in fast food, they do have masks that they will let you put on, but that would be a problem. If you're serving a 4-course dinner and you come out and you have a ponytail and a beard, we're all going to be going like this, what our food looks like, because it naturally happens.
Mm-hmm.
So there are you could take masks and put them over your beard.
Mm-hmm.
People are coming to know who you are, but also respecting where are you out in public. It's not an edict. It's not well, you're not good enough. No, it's how do I get 50% and they hopefully make me 50%.
That is such a really good point. And I think finding nature sometimes and I think what you're right, finding where you are, finding the best place. And I will tell you, until last September, I lived in North San Diego County, which was a very, once when you think of California, as you're flying over the state, if you're flying south, once you hit the grapevine, like it's just like built, you know what I'm saying? It's wall to wall buildings and people.
Yep.
And so my relationship with nature in North San Diego County was the beach, because to me, that was nature. And I love the beach, right? And, nowhere better to be. But now I've moved up to Kelseyville. I'm on a side of a mountain. I'm on 47 acres of trees with a lot of animals. And so I will be honest, it's opened my mind to here. It's very easy. All I have to do is walk out the streets. You can see from behind. You know what I mean? All I need to do is walk out and I'm in nature. But that's not the case for everyone. And there were a lot of years when I lived in northern, in North San Diego County where I didn't have that. So how can you guide us? What's the best way to be able to connect and identify the nature that we can connect with? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing to start with is awareness. This is almost true. I'm thinking about, can I find a non-true? No, it's always true. That we all need to take a deep breath. And I mean that physically, not just mentally. Now, if you're in a crowd, it might be weird. They might think you lit a cigarette and now they're going to all hate it, but that's not true. So again, know that yourself needs certain things. We have to drink water. We have to eat food. We have to eventually get that food out of our body. Maybe wash your hair once in a while. These things that are necessary to a good life. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't take showers and baths and think of that as a positive life. Well, of course it does. How do you feel when you get out? Tired? Great. But what else? Oh, my skin doesn't itch. Or this doesn't. Yeah. And you don't have to put on the same clothes either. And when I was in college, we took the clothes with us. I couldn't afford a washing machine yet. So I got them in the bath with me. I scrubbed it all up. I hung it dry. And luckily I had more clothes that were dry. So you can accommodate yourself. Don't think that the world is so big that I can't make it over that hill, because then you won't. Positive reinforcement comes from ourselves first. And I don't care if you get on the tennis court or whatever sport you want and everybody looks at you and goes, wow, I bet she can't play. He can't play worth the ings. And they're judging these people on how tall they are, how outgoing they are. They can't be shy. It's like, yes, they can. I've met professionals that are shy and great athletes. They work with the team, yes, but they don't stand around and jaw with them. That's not their thing. You have to give people space to be who they are. There are people that are not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. I'm not shy. I'm not too loud anymore. When I was a kid, I was one of those kids. I should have been on the cheerleading squad, but wasn't. I was cheering. I have athletes in my family. My dad was a coach. So we were in these kinds of places all the time. When I was little, you would walk under the bleachers just to see what everybody dropped. I never
Good
found
stuff.
it was still,
Right?
yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
first and foremost, I want to encourage everybody, if this is what you believe that you are or what you can, it is. So if you tell yourself, for example, that I need to eat brownies every night, that is a requirement, I can't sleep without it, then you need to find out what's that carb and sugar. That's pretty much what the brownie is in there, a little oil or something. What about that mixture gives you a good night's sleep as opposed to take the dog for a walk? Because you're getting outside, you got a dog who absolutely loves you and is dying to just go to the corner or meet the neighbors again and say hi. So we pick things for a reason. What I want to really stress on the show tonight is, what is yours? Do you know yours? Or are you just hitting it at the end of the day, the beginning of the day, and you're just instant action and you didn't think about it? Could you imagine if, God forbid, I've seen people go canoeing. A lot of people in my family did it at one time, but they didn't look at the weather factor of what was happening. And there were two family members. One was their neighbor and one was them. And they all had their canoes. They were so excited. It's a Rocky Mountain type thing. And so it's a little rough and you got to have your rowing really well down. But the problem is, what they hadn't read in the news that morning is they had put in a light version of a dam and it broke free. So they didn't see it the mile and a half they were away. It happened while they were parking and getting the canoes out and all that kind of stuff. And that started leaking. If a bridge or the whole wall starts leaking, the rest is on its way. Just wait. And so it was life and death. They only lost a couple of boats. They had 4 with the people they had, and everybody scrambled out. And we're talking about a ton of water that truly just bowls you down, and you hit your head on the rocks in the water. Nobody knows that. You're not breathing. So life can be short just by us not being aware of what's around the corner and what could be. I'm not asking anybody to be overcautious, to be skittish. No, that's not it. Pets don't do that, and I'm all about learning from my pets. They're not going to go on a surface that feels like it's going to fall out of their feet, because they know they don't have who's going to fix their leg. They have no concept of a vet, a veterinary doctor, and it's miserable for these animals. So step 1 is, where are you? What's around you? Just take a good look. You don't have to stare everything down, but that will move you towards having a great time, a great day, really good at conversation, or not.
That is so true. And I do agree with you, the importance of being intentional to know your surroundings whenever you're outside.
Right.
And I think that is true. One day I was in Encinitas in San Diego, one of my very favorite beaches, and I was at Swami's, and same thing. I didn't look at the tide chart. I looked at the weather chart, but not the tide chart. And I got caught up. And
it hurts, doesn't it?
Well, unfortunately, and as I was, and silly me, this shows my silliness. I was at one point I'm videotaping waves, and then it's coming. I was like, oh, and yeah, it was not cute.
Greatest pictures in the West. Water.
Right. But it did remind me that we need to be aware that depending on where you are, you might need to be aware of again, what are you checking? How are you aware? If you're going to the beach, what are the wave? What is the wave?
Yeah. This is not a pond. This is the ocean. The ocean moves constantly.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of like you said with canoeing, right? Because we always think, I don't know about you, but I think of canoeing as serene and things like that.
It's hard work.
Yes, it's hard work. And it's on an actual body of water that's moving and flowing, that has a lot of power behind it. So again, same thing of knowing your surroundings
Absolutely.
and knowing what to check when you're
Exactly.
going somewhere. I
And
love
just
that.
your example with the dams, when they break, they take out everything with them, because we don't typically see a dam like the height of a bridge,
Yeah.
whatever height that is. We're talking about hundreds of feet and a
Mhm.
ton of all kinds of cements and things to say. Now, they try really hard today, knowing that dams don't last forever. And it can start with just a hole. It
Yes.
compromise, and it doesn't have to be an animal. They don't usually eat cement. It's not a thing. But
Mhm.
we have a lot of people, I'm sure you've seen it in your lifetime. I have seen it in my lifetime with graffiti. How in the heck did they get on the on the side of the dam? It happens. Somehow they got somewhere and brought the most invisible, tallest ladder on the planet.
And they're the ones that need to figure stuff out. I'm just
Yes.
saying, like, if you can figure out how to graffiti and get to the place to do it, I think you need to figure more stuff out.
Yes, you need to go get a PhD behind your leg. Even get some
Yes,
money,
because if you've
because
got that much resourcefulness.
yeah, and I can't imagine. It would be hilarious if anybody knows anybody out there. I would love to just pat them on the back and say, "Why?" But there's so many educated, not just men and women, who build bridges for a living, and they do all that math, and they do all the sites, and they market, and it goes on for a whole season usually, so they see the wet season and the up, and knowing what they have to do, this kind of brick, and it's got to be this tall and this high, and then we got to put supports in, blah blah blah. But it would be fascinating if you found a human that could actually be there when that water was coming, and it verifies the numbers. And everybody can grow from knowing, okay, we're going to let some of the water out, or we're going to let this one go. Let's study it as it breaks through. I don't know if I've seen where they've torn down buildings and redone the whole, wherever they were going with retail, and now they were going to get away from that and add, professionals up top, like lawyers and that type of stuff. So it's amazing that they have to know a lot about that soil, because all of our homes, I think, are on the ground.
Yes.
I don't know any flying ones yet. If you meet one, I want a picture.
Right. I was just going to say, look on Instagram or, what social media would you find it on? Definitely. I agree with that. So it is important to be, again, when we're awakening to nature, it's important, like you said, to be aware of our surroundings and to be, again, know what else would you suggest, again, for people who, again, maybe are new to it, maybe aren't comfortable, and maybe just haven't fully let go to be present in nature, if that makes sense.
Well, let me make a couple of solutions. I know I've always been on the go, and this is a nice, quiet part of my life. I find, and I'm hoping, there's a gentleman here called Bob. I like it. Okay, sorry, I do get messages. It's about picking, let's say you're John Denver, crazy person, or you love the Carpenters or anything, or the hard rock guys. What I'm suggesting is put some earbuds on and go for a walk, especially if you are on a really tough day or having a really tough time getting things to, balance again. I highly recommend music and pets. And there's so many things. Go mow the lawn. I don't know if it works for other people, but when I would go out to garden, lawn mowing was at the top of it, but look at what you're left with, this beautiful grass, and hopefully you've watered it. Go and plant a new plant. I go to the hardware stores sometimes just to walk the aisle and see what kind of plants they have. I usually have enough, and I don't need to bring home. Once in a while, I fall in love with another one, and of course, my family goes, "You brought home another plant? Where are you going to put it?"
There's
But
always room for more plants.
there's all of that, and just think of the things I'm suggesting are okay with a single person. Doesn't need more than 2 or 3 or none, but just one. So you have an option of going with somebody or not. And you have a plant that's just looking for a great sunny day and happy stuff. So you can tell the plant all about all the things you're going to do, and you're going to water them, and you're going to maybe have more babies and more flowers. Who knows? It's about getting your inside calm in a private and a positive way. There's so many things we don't do because, oh, I just didn't get around to it. Oh, I just didn't get around to it. Oh, I got dumps and tons of stuff like that. And some things get done. And I love the feeling after I go, wow, I should have packed that box earlier and put it back in the garage.
Right.
So don't beat up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't repeat it. You've got to find that middle place of saying, okay, I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to have the time. Well, maybe not. You don't know if, for example, the kids, this was quite a few years ago, like the bus actually broke down halfway through school. So they'd send another bus to pick up those kids, but they had to wait a little because those kids had to get off the bus and then get on another bus. So I don't know which bus you're on the repair one but life throws these things at us. It doesn't mean that you're at fault. And now if you put a hole in the tire and wanted to let it seek outlet, then okay, you can have that one. But think about what would make you feel better to just give yourself a break. For me, I go for a walk. I live on a big hill. There's only so many houses, and I just walk around and love to be outdoors. I'm usually the one who's going to be sitting outdoors, talking to my plant, getting new dirt, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I have a small place and there's a pot on every step to get to my door. But that's what gives me joy, to put my hands in the soil and to watch these plants recover. Because a lot of them, the ones I actually pay for also, but they're on clearance. Why are they on clearance? Because they didn't have staff to water them. There's an entire nursery. I don't mean to badmouth anybody, so I'm not going to use the store's name. They're big enough, but they have the beautiful plants like everybody else, and some are different, some are here. But what they refuse to do is hire somebody to water them.
That's so unfortunate.
And they throw away. I don't even know the top. I know just when I was there, like every couple of days, because I was putting in new landscaping at my house, and I was just like, we had a person helping when I started. And then a year and a half later, we had just a cashier here. So I finally asked the cashier, so why is there nobody here to answer our question? She said, they won't pay for it anymore.
That is so unfortunate.
Yeah. And they lose a lot of money in product because there's nobody there to water it. And they
people don't want to buy plants that aren't pretty. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're a very visual society, and unfortunately, plants are, they are the recipients.
And I don't know why they don't have like an automatic watering system, which maybe they do, but I've only seen it turned on once or twice the times I was there in the middle of the day or the end of the day, and maybe they do it at midnight. But the plants around me are telling me I haven't been watered in decades.
Wow, that is hard.
It is. And it's a waste of resources, because there was a gardener who got the seed and then they put it in the dirt and then they crossed it and they put it in the next dirt. So there was a lot of people involved in this plant getting to somebody who really wants another plant. But then the hardware stores have sadly gone into what a lot of places are. I've seen it in restaurants. That was weird. One person just for like 5 tables trying to get everybody's food. And I don't go very often, but I'm like, I would guess somebody didn't want to hire somebody. But it reflects on the quality of the piece. Let's say your cook is all by themselves and they need somebody to be a professional I don't know, I'm making it up as I go, but you get my point. And they cut back the kitchen and they go, oh, we only have the bread today. We couldn't get the beef cooked, or you could have it raw. Thinking, yeah, we're leaving.
No, thank you.
Yeah, where's the drive-through? Because seems like they already have it made because they're set up for that. But we also see that person at the window is really close to where the food is finished and fried, a hamburger or whatever. But cutting back is not. I mean, I know it's a dollar thing, but for the world, we could do a lot better. I also try to really stay within native plants. I didn't for years because I had never seen these plants. I wanted to learn everything about them. So I do get a couple because it's a challenge. It's fun. And I'm outdoors for the whole time.
Well, and it is, there's so many different kinds of plants that it gives a person, and I really like the recommendation there, right? So as we're talking about awakening to nature, and one of the things you talked about was absolutely grab your iPad, whatever headphones you have these days,
Yeah.
or whatever you call them, AirPods or whatever, grab them, put on some music and go outside. And then the other thing is to find places you can connect with. And one of them, like you said, someplace that has plants, and be aware and look at them. And I
Right.
like the idea to even check out the clearance rack, because if you water and give some plants some love, they might come back.
I am living that existence. There are 3 plants in this room, and one of them is over 15 years old.
Wow.
And I stopped guessing after 15. It's like, I don't remember. I don't want to dump my age here. But they, nurseries, they have little boxes with little plants in them, flower or whatever. So this is just your typical ficus. It's in every office when we were growing up. I don't know if they still do it because I don't go to many offices. But remember, they always had the office tree and all that. This was one of, now they have these giant leaf ones. So this little one, I was in college, so I didn't have a lot of money. And I bought just the little one. I thought, oh, let's get it. I read it. I knew what it was going to be. It has now moved 6 times with me. And he doesn't get a lot of care. And he's as tall as you and I.
Wow. That's
Not
awesome.
together, just by ourselves, side by side, whoever's taller. And right now, when the girls, I have 2 daughters, and they're all graduated from college. But when they were little, they had, the craft projects in the classes.
Mhm.
So they brought home the little seedlings, and we had all this kind of stuff. But where there was also one of the girls' teachers, they did that. What would you call it? A mosaic, where they put glass or colored glass in, and it becomes a table.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So it's
Uh-huh.
beautiful, and they auctioned it. It was one of the auctions, and of course, I got it. And excuse me, my ficus was dying for a higher table, because when you have a plant that's not terribly tall, but you put them on the floor, you're not giving quite as much for some, not for all of them. Some of the tropical ones, it's not the place for it in California, but people do them. They have them in their office, and that would be good because they only want partial sun or this. The ficus wanted sun all day. So it is literally sitting in the corner from a window that faces this way, and he's over here. So I've always thrilled that he's here. We haven't had the problem. I owned a ficus probably 5 years before this one, and it just, all the leaves were on the ground all the time. I could keep that one alive for my life. And again, I go back to, who didn't water? Did they not fertilize? Did they just put it on the shelf for somebody to buy, like me? And I can't tell its history. I'm sorry. There's no X-rays. Plants. I mean, we can get X-rays and mammograms and everything to death and all that. What you do with a plant is you're going to look at the health of the leaf and the health of the branch next, and how it's thriving.
Okay.
Then you can say, okay, what am I not doing? Well, that you can go to a professional, to a nursery that actually does that. And believe it or not, there's 2 in my town. I'm very thrilled, because it's not just a plant to me. I might have it for 25 years. So,
Absolutely.
and it didn't cost me as much as it looks like, because again, I have rock on it so that so my cats don't decide to go potty there and or get there. So there's a lot of stuff around the pot.
Well, but in a way, I really like that. I like when you're talking about that you can identify the health of a plant by
Mhm.
its leaf, and then by, it's kind of like, you look at its leaf, you said you look at its,
Exactly.
and to me, in a way, that is also part of being present with nature. It's
Exactly.
taking our time, right? Because in this fast world that we live in, where it's like, I'm going to have this app that's going to tell me this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, right? And then it's one of those, stop.
Yeah, because it's too much.
Yeah.
Just do one. Just do one. If you are leaning towards, oh, I'd love to get a plant. I've never been good at plants. Then you need to go to a nursery that has people that actually have a degree, and it's not called a nursery degree. Let's see, it's arborist or any of that. Arborists are mostly that do the trees that go really high. I decided, sometimes I pick up things because I see them just the back of my eye, or it's on clearance, or somebody like was going to buy it and they put it in the laundry. I've seen people believe the most weirdest thing. I'm thinking you couldn't walk 2 steps or give the cashier and say, no, I don't want to get this one. Don't just stop it there. I have, I don't even know the name of the plant. I have forgotten all year, but it has that just solid seed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that it will tolerate a full water existence. So it has a glass bottom. So again, walking through a store, saw this plant, and I was changing jobs to a different desk job. And I thought, oh, this will be perfect. This will be wonderful. And that job lasted 6 months. But I have this wonderful.
That lasted longer than
I know. I finally got the best plant, but it has a glass bottom like this in a blue with sparkles, and this plant lives on its root. It grows leaves, but it has to be in water all the time. That is what it looks. So I'm just pretending I'm showing you it's over there. But this plant is now on its 5th iteration of blooming. It blooms every year. Wow. And the leaves are bright red and big. They look like a heart when they're off. And again, they're a tropical plant, so it's got to be in water all the time. And I put it up on the counter closest to the sink water because I'm there and I can constantly manage them. And besides, I do have cats and they will decide to play with it. But I'm blessed because I tried this plant. I knew it was something. I had no experience. I didn't know what it needed. I could see it. Obviously, it needs water. But what about soil? This is where they get in the nutrients. So it's been wonderful. And so far, the plant has loved me enough to just keep going. Blooming is part of that relationship. It's like saying, no, you can't have kids. You don't eat right. And flowers, it's all about that. There's so many plants that need the honeybee. And that's a whole nother show because we're losing the honeybee so fast because of our way of living. But you need all of this. You cannot have the flower or these organic, really flowery leaves unless you have a honeybee because it needs to cross-pollinate. It's a necessity. So I don't have any outright blooms in the house. I've worked with honeybees for years, so I have no problem with that. But I think my kids would hate it if I had a honeybee and you can't get much honey if I can bring them in the house. So don't do that. But there's tons of places you can go that have holistic food. And one of those things is raw honey. And I can't preach this long enough or Dolly. If you have allergies, I'm one with all of them, dripping and constantly blow my nose. Not today. It took me a year and a half. I forget, but I remember it being at least a year and a half where I took a spoonful of raw honey, got it from a beekeeper from our town where I live, not my neighborhood. We couldn't get that close, but it's coming from our town. Why does that matter? Because if you're allergic to and you're dribbling and you're needing hundreds of Kleenex, well, you would be somewhere in your living space, out in your driveway or your next door neighbor. There's a plant that's really bothering you. That really, really taking your nasal capacity, and all the Kleenex on Costco can go through a lot. If you take a little at a time, I mean, how painful it is to take a little teaspoon of honey. Oh, it's going to kill me. No, I promise you'll really like it. And now you have to have diabetes, all that. That's up to you to look at it. That is. And what you're doing to the body is you're introducing the pollen through a really yummy path. And the body doesn't take the honey and it's not like a steak in 6 hours. So you have to do it daily. You have to be committed. It doesn't go fast. Nothing goes fast when it's holistic. It's trying to work with the body and say, how do I fit in? So raw honey locally, I am the walking person to say, and it didn't just happen for me, it happened for my daughters and it happened for my coworkers. They saw me sticking a spoon in we're used to working in an office. And one said, okay, I'm dying to ask, you stick a spoon into honey every day and then you eat it. Why? I said, because I'm trying to get past having such bad allergies. And she's like, oh, that's a really good idea. So it's just like, it's really that simple. I put it on a teaspoon. I went for continuity. So I was doing it every day and being exposed to those pollen in there. But I didn't need to go like, I'm going to use, 2 tablespoons today, and then I'm going to have 1 teaspoon tomorrow. I mean, that's great if you have to, but it's about constantly and the body giving a chance with, oh, wait a minute. Oh, we're not sick from this. Oh, we don't have to throw this out. The body's going to make that change, but you've got to give it time. It took me more than 6 months to stop taking just the nasal spray because I had really bad. So I was taking pills, nasal spray, and patches. And I was carrying a lot of Kleenex with me.
I would imagine.
So find out whatever that is, that's great. But you need to give the body a chance to say, oh, I have built up the ability to just go, no, that doesn't bother me anymore. And that's where you want to get.
Well, and that is so important. And when you think about it, that is being awakening to nature, right? It's being awakened to the natural local things that can heal us.
And exactly. We've got a title here, Awakening to Being Present. What does that mean? It could be, oh, I didn't realize you used that many Kleenexes. Check your trash once in a while. It can be boxes and boxes and boxes of it. What happens when you have a bruised elbow or this or that? You're not going to lean on the table. That's not going to happen. Be aware of your surroundings. This is so important. When I was a first responder, always, especially the women, we were always talking to them. Please, if you need to go out at night, you need to be there. It's really important, and you got to do it. Find out where you are. Make sure you know where you are. Look like you're talking on the phone. Have resources. And so we told you about the honeybee. This has nothing to do with that, but it's in the same family of how do we show that we care about other and we can be present for them. And it can be as simple as just saying, hey, you want to be walking home for me? It looks like we're going the same direction. Or, hey, I have this great honey and it came from Bob's blah, blah, blah store and I'd love to share it. Sometimes people get in their own way and don't ask for help. So if you can, and if you're as yappy as I am, and I bet you are too, we talk to everybody, that it's easy to say, hi, hey, looks like, you're walking home. I'm going the same way. You mind if I walk with you? And if you don't think it's going to be received the way you're trying to put it out, then tell the truth of saying, I really need a walking buddy. I'm not comfortable. I'm not here. And it would mean a lot. And if you got the right walking buddy, then it all goes well. It all goes well.
It does. And I will tell you, I have a friend that sometimes I call and I'll be like, hey, I'm walking somewhere. Can you be on the phone with me? Just because again, then it's somebody and I'll pretend and talk on the phone and talk to myself too. But sometimes I think it's good if there's actually someone on the other side that knows. So
it's good practice for you taking care of your boundaries and taking care of what you are able to do. Sometimes we need to make that walk. We need to get out. We need to do that. Hallelujah. Let's all get out of the house and turn off the air conditioner for a few thousand watts or something. And I know people do it with their dogs a lot. That's because the dog's pretty much demanded. Cats, not so much. But how about you? How about us saying, I really need to get outside. Oh, it's really hot. True. Now, you're talking to a girl who grew up in the high desert. Okay, I know hot. Spend some time in Death Valley. Don't know why. Don't know why anybody knows, because it has that name for a reason. Even I was uncomfortable. But your body will adapt to what you do. If, say, I've talked to clients and they've said, well, but I get so tired so fast. I said, then go 1 block. Come back. It's all a win. So many people are so caught up with the grand finish. And it's like, wait a minute, what you finished? You're not walking every day in your life. Is forever. If you want to work on your health, if you want to be a part of seeing wonderful things, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of beautiful bushes and green hills when it rains and all kinds of things to walk around. And that's when I just walk out my door. Yeah. And I'm not talking about my plants all over the stairs.
But it is, like you said, and it is so important to awaken and just to be present and to know how we can best be present. And again, like you said, it's about taking care of ourselves, right? It's about taking care of our minds, bodies, and spirits. And so that's such an important thing to do. So I love the tips that you have given us today to go outside, right?
Go outside and get some air. Believe it or not, if we all care about our air, I think would vote differently on the things we are willing to do. And this is grandmothered in. People didn't understand smoking things coming out of the trains. And that was a huge part of our getting from one place to the other. I have no idea what the planes do. I mean, they're cleaner than every single day they're cleaner because everybody's going, global warming. Is that a thing? You doing anything about it? I saw it on a show, I want to say yesterday. And the commentator was like, yeah, we're not doing nothing. We're not accomplishing anything because nothing's being done consistently.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're going to do a little. Let's recycle. Yay. That's a good step. What else are you going to do? You mean I have to do more? Are you living on this planet? Yes.
Yes.
It is. We all get there together
Mm-hmm.
or none of us do. It doesn't matter if it's in an hour, 2 hours, or 6 months.
Absolutely.
I hope we'd all want to get there together.
Well, and I think having the conversation, reminding people and giving people tips like walk outside, be aware of your surroundings, go to your local, gardening places, become connected and comfortable with plants. I love all of the things that you've recommended to us this week, as well as a reminder of the importance of honey and of our allergies. It is so important.
Isn't that terrible? You have to eat something sweet and sticky.
I mean, there could be a lot of worse things to eat.
I know. Well, yeah, and I love it because I'd have a spoon or a teaspoon with the kids. It was a teaspoon. I finally walked up to a whole tablespoon. Now we're not talking. Have you ever? Honey. You go dip. Yep, here it comes, and it's going to come off pretty fast. So you have to move a little bit. Absolutely. Raw honey again. I get all the blowbacks of, why does that matter? Because the pollen is still in the honey. They don't spin it like the manufacturers do who want a pretty thing, this thing, but a commercial benefit. What we want is people to actually get better. Now, your body's going to decide how it absorbs. If you ever have a reaction to it, always check with your doctor, see if it's a rash or you just went too fast. Because it could be, I don't know what you, I don't drink alcohol, but I tell you, when I was a teenager, I did try some because somebody had it with me. And I was thinking, this is awful. Why would you want to drink this? And you got to know, what can you tolerate? For me, the honey gets really, really sweet. And I'm like, this is really sweet. So I end up doing 2 or 3 spoons a day as opposed to a big one. And if I'm really busy, I take the whole teaspoon, eat it. Sometimes you could have seen the spoons in my car. It's a very weird thing. People go, why do you have 1 spoon? I had to take honey and I was running late, so I took it. There's just lots of things you can do and make life fun and get the point across to somebody else that we can do this, but only together, only humanity together. That's it.
And that is true. And that is why it is important that we are talking about coexistence and sustainability. And today we talked about awakening to nature, the art of being present. I am with pet psychic Aminah, and we have enjoyed being with you today. The good news is, Aminah, I get to be with you again next week. And we get to do one more time next week. And I'm so glad about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope everybody goes out there and loves a bee. And that means just get a plant with a flower.
I like that. So that's an action step. Walk outside, get a plant with a flower. And
don't steal it. Just get it. There's plenty to buy.
Love and support the bees. I do definitely love that. Wonderful. Well, thank you for your time today. I do appreciate it. I am so excited, as I said, that we have been talking about coexistence and sustainability with Pet Psychic Aminah. We are here every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific. I am Megan. I have been guest co-hosting for Dr. JACALYN. You can find us every week on USA Global TV and radio. Are there any last thoughts or anything you want to share with everyone as we leave?
The only thing I left out was, how do you get a reach out to me? Bridging Worlds. I try to make it really simple. BRIDGINGWORLDS.US is my website. Everything you want to know, my links to my social media, which is only the Facebook and one more. And you can find anything there. But the best part is you can find out, what does it take to book an appointment.
Absolutely. And we do have your contact information across the bottom of the screen. So everybody, the website is bridgingworlds.us. Please reach out to Pet Psychic Aminah. And again, look at the wisdom that we're learning and we're getting every week. We truly appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. You have a great, safe week.
I will. And I hope you have a great week. And everyone, thank you again. We appreciate it. And now a word from our sponsors.